Hello everyone, my name is Brittany Borders and this is our fourth video for our Counseling 505 class. During this video, we are kind of summarize or recap the sessions that we previously performed with the client, and then during this session we will work with the client to develop goals. So I had 14 client statements, so I broke them up into 7 sessions. So each client had 2 statements, so it could show like a continuation of the actual session. So for one session, it may go through like 2 counseling sessions in itself, but I'll try to move expeditiously through them, so it's not too long. But I won't read the client statements, but just know that each session does include 2 client statements, and I'll kind of respond to them with reflection so that you know which ones I'm using. Let's go ahead and get started. Session number 1. Hi, Brittany. During our last session, we discussed the informed consent, and I was wondering if we could begin this session with you telling me why you decided to attend counseling. Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about the concern of your family? So you're stating that your family is concerned about your drinking and depression. Okay, Brittany. So today we discussed your reasoning for being in counseling, and you stated that it's related to the concern of your family, and they have a concern with your drinking and your depression. Is that correct? Great. Hi, Brittany. Welcome back. In our last session, we discussed you being in counseling because of the concern of your family, and you stated that they were concerned about your drinking and depression. Today, let's explore those concerns a little bit further. Okay, so now you're stating that you feel that you need to be in counseling for yourself, and you're not only here because of your family's concern. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Okay. Well, what could be some of the advantages to you being in counseling? Okay. So you're stating that some of the advantages will be dealing with some of the concerns. So out of those concerns, which do you feel like is the most pressing concern? So am I understanding you correctly that you are most concerned about your drinking because you feel like it's impacting your ability to function on a daily basis, and you desire to change that? Okay. Well, can you tell me what you want to change? Okay, so let's recap so far. You stated that you have a desire to address your depression and your alcohol consumption because you feel like they're impacting your ability to function. And you further stated that your alcohol consumption is the most pressing concern that you would like to address during our counseling sessions. Okay. Great. So it sounds to me like you've developed a plan to address your alcohol consumption. So tell me if this sounds like the plan that you feel like you have developed. You stated that you need to change your peer relationships and we have also set up for you to attend AA meetings 3 times per week so that you could develop a support system or a network of individuals who desire to remain sober. You also stated that you needed to remove yourself from your parents' home because of the peer influences that were around your house. So you've already agreed, or you agreed to ask one of your relatives if it was okay that you move in with them, and we were going to discuss it during our next session. Okay, do those sound like manageable goals for you to begin to work on? Okay, great. So during our next session, we will review those goals and then we'll address any changes that we need to make. Great. I'll see you next week. Okay, and now we're going to do the second session. Hello. Tell me what brings you to counseling today. Okay. Tell me a little bit more. So during today's session, you discussed that you began drinking to cope with the depression that you experienced in following the death of your mother. You further stated that you feel your husband does not understand that grief that you're experiencing, and you feel that your marriage is at a crossroads. Great. Okay. So during our next session, I thought we would discuss those crosswords a little bit more in detail. Great. Hi, Brittany. Welcome back. During our last session, you mentioned that you were at a crossroads. So if it's okay, I thought we would begin today's session discussing that crossroad. Okay. So you don't want to stay the way you are. What do you think that you can change? Okay. Okay, so you're drinking. Okay. So now that you know what you want to change, are you willing to change your alcohol consumption? Okay. So you feel like you're at a place where you're ready to change it. So what things do you think have to change so that you can be successful in decreasing your alcohol consumption? So you feel like in order to address your alcohol consumption, you need to address the depression that you're feeling as a result of the death of your mother. But you're also kind of feeling that even if you address the depression, you're still going to have that desire to drink alcohol. Okay, definitely. Definitely. Because, you know, you did not think that your mother would pass. So that's definitely understood. So let's just recap to make sure we're on the same page. You think you could benefit from being around others who have experienced some form of loss. You also think that attending AA meetings would be some way for you to deal with the dependence to alcohol that you feel like you're experiencing. And you also feel like you would like to talk to someone with your husband. So maybe like couples counseling to discuss what you're experiencing. Does that sound correct? Okay. So of all those things we discussed, how realistic or reasonable is it to expect that you would be able to do those things? Okay. So you feel that you could do the AA meetings and you feel like you would benefit from the support system. And you state that you do think you could attend a grief counseling. Okay, but you're stating at this time you don't think your husband would be open to the couples counseling. Okay. Okay, so it sounds to me like we've set up a plan that you would attend the grief counseling and that you also would reach out to local AA meetings in your neighborhood and find one that you can attend at least 3 times a week. Does that sound like a good place for us to start? Great. Great. I'll see you next week. Okay, now we're going to do session number 3. Hello, Brittany. There's not much on this intake assessment. Can you tell me what you would like to discuss today? Okay, tell me a little bit more about that. Okay, so today we've discussed that you feel your depression is preventing you from completing your daily activities. Okay. Okay, so you feel that perhaps you're dealing with your stress by drinking. So you're coping with your stress by drinking, okay? Okay, so Brittany, if I'm hearing you correctly, you state that something has to change in your life. What are you referring to? Okay, so your stress is what you feel like needs to change. And why do you feel like your stress needs to change? Okay. Okay, so you feel that the stress needs to change, but on the other hand, you feel like you still drink even if you weren't stressed. Okay, so you're kind of feeling like it's a lose-lose. So I'm wondering if there's anything about the stress you're experiencing that you feel like you could actually change. Okay. So it sounds like your stress is connected to a lack of income in your life and your inability to provide for yourself financially. So do you feel there's any way that you could possibly change your income or increase your income? Okay, Okay, great. So you feel like there's a program at your local Department of Social Services that you need a referral to enter into. Okay. Does that sound like something you're willing to commit to, that program? Right. So let's start here. Let's start at that program. I'll give you a referral to the program, since you said you desire to attend a program to help you possibly increase your income. The program meets 3 times a week. Do you feel like that is feasible for you to attend that program 3 times a week? Okay, great. So on the way out, we'll give you that referral to the program, and then the next session we'll discuss what has occurred since you began that program. So we'll discuss what happened last week during that program during our next session, okay? Great. Okay, this is session number 4. Hi, Brittany. I noticed on your intake assessment you reported high levels of alcohol consumption. Can you tell me a little about that? Okay. Tell me more about that. Okay, so we've identified 2 major concerns, your drinking and your depression. And you stated you drink to manage your feelings that accompany your depression. And you also stated that you don't desire to stop. Okay. So during our next session, I think we can discuss a little bit about your stating that you don't have the desire to stop. Hi, Brittany. Welcome back. In our past sessions, we've discussed 2 major things. We've discussed your drinking and your depression. You stated that you're feeling depressed and perhaps worthless, and you're using the drinking to help you cope with those feelings. But you also mentioned at the end of last session that you don't desire to stop. So I was wondering if we could begin today's session just talking a little bit about why you don't desire to stop. Okay, so you feel like drinking is a coping mechanism, and even if you stop drinking, you feel like you'll still feel depressed, so you don't have the desire to stop drinking. So I'm a little curious to know, if your depression stopped, what do you think you would be feeling? Okay. So you stated that you think that if your depression stopped, you feel like you would be feeling freedom. Okay. And how important is it for you to feel freedom? Okay. So you feel like freedom is something that's kind of very important to you right now. And what activities do you use currently to achieve freedom? Okay, so you've identified 2 activities. You feel like daily journaling, because you like to write and express your feelings. And you also stated that you're interested in medication. Um, how do you think we can work together to help you achieve your goal of reaching that freedom? Okay, so I want to just make sure that I'm understanding you correctly. You've agreed that you want to journal daily. And then at the beginning of next session, we will read some of the excerpts from your journal. And you also stated that you wanted to begin an antidepressant medication regimen. Does that sound correct? Okay, right. So we'll start you on that medication, and you possibly can read those journal entries to us, or you can share those journal entries at the beginning of next session. I look forward to hearing them. Great. Okay, this is session number 5. Hi, Brittany. Welcome back. I see that you were referred to me by your school counselor because you're having several episodes of crying outbursts during class. Can you tell me a little bit about these outbursts? Okay. So you're feeling like you can't control your crying? Hmm. Hmm. So I'm wondering if you're crying because you desire to be noticed, and possibly you would benefit from another way to express your feelings. Okay. So for homework, let's try something this week. Why don't you complete a daily journal? And each day you use that journal to express your feelings. And then we will come back next week and we will discuss some of those feelings that you express in your journal. Great. So, hi Brittany, welcome back. I was reading some of your journal entries from the past week and I noticed that there was a reoccurring statement about you feeling scared and fearful, but that you desire to change that fear that you were experiencing. So I was wondering if you could tell me if you feel you have things that you can change or what things that you feel like you could change to prevent those feelings. Okay. So you want to change, but you don't really know how to start that process. Okay, so that's what you're saying. You want to change, but you're unsure. Okay. Okay, so can you think of anything right now that you think that you'd be able to change? Okay, so you feel like you might be able to change your drinking. Okay. So do you feel like you're able to change your drinking, or now that you feel like you're able to change your drinking, let's explore why. Why would you want to change your drinking? Okay. Okay. So you feel that your drinking is a way you're coping with your depression. Um, and you're stating that typically when you drink and you feel depressed, you start crying. But you're stating that the crying is occurring more frequently and you're concerned that you're going to have to drink more frequently. Okay, so how serious or threatening do you feel like the drinking is to you? Okay, so you feel like the drinking is life threatening. So what do you feel like the next step is right now? So let me ensure that I'm understanding you correctly. You would like to express the emotions that you're feeling through other avenues, and you desire to learn some problem solving skills so that you wouldn't have to drink to cope with those feelings. Okay. So can you put the goals that we've agreed upon into words so that we can both ensure we're on the same page? Okay. Okay. Okay, so you have agreed that you desire to learn other coping skills and you desire to learn emotional regulation. So during our sessions, we will do some role playing where you will have practice with coping skills and emotional regulation. And then for homework, you will complete those activities outside of the session and you will write down what happened or what occurred and how you felt after you did those regulations and role plays outside of the session. Okay? Great. All right, session number 6. Hi, Brittany. You mentioned on your intake assessment that you're concerned about your ability to remain involved in your children's lives. Tell me more about that. Okay. So, being involved in your children's life is something that's important to you. Okay. So, you feel like that separation from your husband created feelings of depression and it's possibly changed you. Okay. And you feel like you cannot return to your former self and you're using drinking as a way to escape this condition that you're in now. Okay, so tell me about your present condition. All right, so let's do an exercise. I'm going to give you a sheet of paper and I want you to imagine that if you woke up tomorrow as your former self, what things would your former self be engaged in? Okay, so it looks like on your paper you mentioned that your former self will be engaged in your children's lives, your church, and your marriage. So engaged in activities with your husband. Okay. So of all these things that you discussed, which one do you feel like you're missing the most? Okay, so you feel like it's a tie between your marriage and your children, being in your children's lives. So what do you think you can do about changing the things that you're missing? Okay. So you feel like you could attend your children's events sober. You feel like engaging in marriage counseling. So you could learn how to be more positive or how to respond or in a more positive manner with your spouse. Okay. So how likely are you to actually engage in those activities? Okay. So you're feeling like you're likely to engage in being sober at your children's activities, but you're less likely to engage in couples counseling because you do not feel like your husband would be willing to engage in that right now. Okay, so what would contribute to you achieving the goal of going to your children's events sober? What would you need to do? Okay, so you're feeling like engaging in a substance abuse treatment program would assist with your sobriety and possibly practicing listening and breathing techniques during your periods of frustration. Okay, so tell me what goals or what things we've agreed to today. Okay, so let me make sure I'm on the same page. You're stating that we've agreed today that you're going to attend an outpatient treatment program for 30 days, and you're going to continue to attend counseling twice a week while you're in that program. And during our counseling sessions, we will learn breathing techniques that you can practice daily during points of frustration. And then you will come back to the counseling session and you will let me know how it goes when you practice those techniques outside of the counseling session. Okay, great, great. I'll see you next week. All right, session number 7. Hi, Brittany. Last session, we ended our session discussing how alcohol is impacting your ability to work. So let's pick back up there. Okay, so you feel like alcohol impairs your ability to keep up at work. So I'm wondering if alcohol is only impacting you at work. Okay, so you feel like alcohol is creating problems in other areas of your life as well. But you mentioned that you feel like you can manage some of these problems. Okay, so to give me a clear understanding, on a scale of 1 to 10, or 0 to 10 rather, where 0 is I can't manage my problems at all, and 10 is I can manage all my problems, where do you feel like you fall right now? A 4. Okay, a 4. So you feel like you a 4, which means there are some problems that you feel like you can manage. Can you tell me one or two of the problems that you feel like you can manage? Okay, good. So out of those manageable problems, which one is the most important to you right now? Okay. And with that problem, what can you do to manage that? Okay. So you've mentioned rehab facilities, you mentioned halfway houses, attending AA meetings, you mentioned aversive treatment methods. But I'm wondering which of those methods you feel like would be the most feasible for you. Okay. So am I understanding correctly that financially you don't feel like a rehab facility would be affordable to you? And you do not think you would qualify to live in a halfway house. But you are interested in attending the AA meetings 3 times a week and possibly reading more information about aversive treatment methods. Okay, great. So you've basically agreed to attend the AA meetings 3 times a week, and I'm going to provide you with some information that you can review on aversive treatment methods. And during our next session, we'll begin by discussing some of what you read about the aversive treatment methods. How does that sound? Okay, great. I look forward to seeing you next week. Okay, so that is my counseling video. I know it was kind of lengthy. I hope you were able to see how we went through the sessions and created goals with the clients. I look forward to seeing everyone's videos, and I hope you have a wonderful day.